Someone once said that if you could explain everything about the Bible, it would put you on the par with God. And nobody is on the par with God, and nobody can explain everything about the Bible. Well, I got to admit today I am fully in agreement with that statement. For we are back in 518 to 520 before Christ. We're looking at the 8 visions of Zechariah, and we're looking specifically at the 7th of those visions. And I got to tell you, I've never had such a difficult time interpreting anything as I have this one. For I find tremendous problems, no matter how hard I research this and no matter how many different opinions I look at. I have not come to a final conclusion about this particular vision. Let's take a look at the text. You think about it for a few minutes, and then let's see what others say about it. Then the angel who was speaking with me went out and said to me, "Lift up your eyes and see what is going forth." I said, "What is it?" And he said, "This is the ephah going forth." Again he said, "This is their appearance in all of the land." And behold, a lead cover was lifted up, and this is a woman sitting inside the ephah. Then he said, "This is wickedness," and he threw her down into the middle of the ephah and cast a lead weight on its opening. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and there were 2 women who were coming out with the wind in their wings, and they had wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heavens. And I said to the angel who was speaking with me, "Where are they taking the ephah?" Then he said to me, "To build a temple for her in the land of Shinar. Then when it is prepared, she will be set there on her own pedestal." Okay, the text is confusing enough, but let's just take this apart. And let me just tell you, I went to all of my trusted sources. First of all, we have an ephah. Well, I went to several different biblical dictionaries and several different commentaries to see what an ephah was. Some said it was a liquid measuring tool, some kind of a container that you would measure liquids, something between 5 and 7.5 gallons. Then I went to some other sources, and it said an ephah was a basket or a measuring container for corn, and that would be a dry measurement. And some went as far as to say it was several bushels, and others said that it was less than a bushel. So I had no idea the size or the container type. But nevertheless, the text said that there was a woman sitting in it. Well, there are some of the commentaries that I read that said that this woman was just a small woman and she could easily fit into something that was 3 bushels. Others said, no, this was a pail or a container that was probably less than 5 gallons or right at 5 gallons, and that this had to represent the figure of a woman, which would probably be a graven image, an idol. Well, okay, I went on beyond that, and then I looked at the lid on this container, which was lead, and I looked at different commentaries and different writers on this, and some said, well, the lead was there to protect Zechariah from any kind of damage, just like a lead jacket would be for somebody getting an x-ray. And others said, no, this was a heavy weight to keep the woman confined to the insides. I found a little strange to say that when Zechariah looked in and saw the woman sitting in the container, and then it said that the angel threw her back into the center of the container, I thought to myself, well, okay, that lends itself to it being an idol, and he picked it out, showed it to Zechariah, and then threw it back into the container. But I don't know, because it doesn't say that that's what he did. He didn't say that he took it out so he could show him the woman that was inside. But nevertheless, the words are there that says that's what he did. And when the lid is put back on the container, two women come, and they have wings like storks, and the wind's in their wings, and they fly between the heaven and the earth, just as if there's no place for this particular ephah and this woman that's inside to be placed, and they're between heaven and earth. And then it says they're going to take her to Shinar. Well, finally, I found some agreement. Everybody agrees that Shinar is a place that's probably where Babylon was, and where Iraq and Iran are. And then it says that she'll be put on a pedestal of her own, which is kind of strange. But nevertheless, we do have one thing in here that everybody agreed upon, because the angel told us so. And that is, this ephod with a woman inside represents wickedness, evil, sin. And so we know that it's good that there was a container. We know that it's good that the lid was put on the container. It's not so good that we put on its own pedestal. Nevertheless, the next thing that I did was, after looking at a number of commentaries, I looked to see whether I could figure out anything about this particular passage of scripture that made any sense. And every commentator had a different take on it. Some commentators said the wickedness represented commercialism, as the Jews have always been accused of being shrewd traders and merchandisers, and cheap in their general nature, that this represented the wickedness of Israel and her ability to trade cleverly, or with tightness, or with shrewdness. Other commentators took the fact that this was Jewish religion, that this wickedness was the wickedness of the Jewish religion, rejecting Christ and holding fast to their old getting into heaven by works instead of by grace. Still others said no, it was neither of those. It was just general wickedness, general sinfulness that had come into the hearts of the Jewish people, and that it was a picture of end times, when the wickedness of the Jews would be taken away. I still don't understand why it would be set on its own pedestal, but nevertheless, it was a picture of end times when wickedness would be taken away. Well, what do you think? What is this vision? In context, doesn't seem to help a whole lot, except that we are looking at what appears to be an end time prophecy. If we look at the first part of 5, when judgment will come on wickedness, we see the last particular vision, and it doesn't seem to help much. So what is this vision? How big is this ephah? How big is this woman? Is she an idol, or is she just representative of wickedness as Jezebel, the end times of the book of Revelation? I don't know. I wish I could tell you that I thought that there was a very clear explanation for this whole vision, but I'm going to come back to what I said earlier. And that is, if anybody can explain everything about the Bible, then they are on the par with God. All I can tell you is that the angel told us it was wickedness, and the wickedness would be taken away to Shinar. If we look at the central area of Iraq and Iran, there's certainly lots of wickedness there. Was an in-between vision of the wickedness that would continue in the Middle East, that would always be hanging over the head of the Jews until the very final judgment, and then she'll be done away with. That's all I can finally come out with. that perhaps this is just a picture of the wickedness that will continue in the Middle East while the Jews continue to hold their land until the final judgment comes. Well, needless to say, I continue to be confused. So that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.